Live here. Okay, we're live here. Boom. We're getting there. Welcome. Okay. Welcome. All right, we'll get going in a minute. All right. Start sharing the screen. All right, here we go. Welcome. Welcome. If you're new, let me know where you're from. All right, so problems, they're inevitable. You're going to have them on the job site, right? And don't think that you have to be perfect to win the customer over. In fact, nobody's perfect. So they're almost expecting problems. And if they've remodeled before, they've had lots of problems. And this is where you can shine when there is a problem, the way you work through it. All right, so if you're new, welcome. I'm going to talk for about 12 minutes. Put in the comment where you're from, any questions, and then we can have a discussion. So here's the thing. A lot of guys will struggle. I did in the beginning. You want to hide from the problem, right? That's not the way to go. You want to face it head on. You bring it up. You discuss it with the homeowner, and then you come up with the plan. Okay. Don't go around blaming other people. Don't avoid the conversation, and don't offer some kind of half fix because you're panicked. All right. You gotta meet it head first, as they say. The best clients, the ones that are going to refer you to everyone to know, they don't come for perfect. They come for somebody who's going to work through to get perfect, right? They want you to show up and handle messes like a boss. So in Harvard, the business studies, they've come up with this thing. It's called like a service recovery paradox. Basically what that means is when a client experiences a problem that gets handled well, it actually brings more loyalty than to the client that didn't have any problems at all. So consider that for a moment. It's because when something does go wrong and you fix it clean and respectfully, people honor that. They respect it. And they're often really surprised by it because they've had so many situations where it went the other way, where it went south. And that's where you can show people like, hey, we're professionals. We're the real deal. All right. So here's what separates a lot of the pros, right? So that you just show up. You take control. You say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, I wanted to let you know first. We've hit a snag, and I want you to hear exactly what's going on and how we're handling it. Welcome, guys. If you're new, please let me know where you're from. And if you have any questions regarding remodeling. So homeowners don't want you to see you defend. They want you to align, right? You don't tell them, hey, that's not my fault. You say, I totally can see why you're frustrated. If I was in your shoes, I'd feel the same way. Let's walk through what we're going to do to fix this or to address it, right? It's just a much simpler approach. And believe it or not, the homeowner feels like, damn, these guys got it. All right. So it's just a very simple shift in the way that you communicate. That's what we call ARI. You want to turn it into a loyalty moment, right? When handled right, the problem shifts. So believe it or not, this is a story that the client can start telling other people in your favor. It's proof that they've hired the right team, the right company, that they spent more, right? So they start feeling good about their decision. You also follow up throughout the process and when the fire technically is out, right? You just don't fix it and disappear. You come full circle. You let them know, hey, how's everything handled? How did we do on that? How is everything still going good? And that second touch, as they say, it's what helps cement a lot of confidence with the homeowner in you and your company. All right, this is where a lot of guys struggle here, and I did as well first. You don't want to just jump in and act like it never happened, and you try to hide it, and uh, you just let the homeowner know right where things are. You're right to be upset. Let me show you what we're going to do, right? And you present like one clear solution or possibly an option, right? And you never put it on them like, what do you want me to do about it? That's not going to fly. And you always just follow back up. You go, hey, just, we addressed that issue. Want to see how you're doing, things like that. So just imagine, what if your client gets angry and it's really not your fault? Well, it doesn't matter. You need to be the leader anyway, and you can explain what happened, and first let me focus on what we're doing to make it right. It's just a little shift in the way you talk. So what if they start asking for a discount in the midst of all this chaos? If you lead well, that's not going to be the case. So if you've been experiencing a lot of situations where you're working with a homeowner, problems come up, and then all of a sudden they start not trusting you or the price, that's letting you know that you weren't addressing the issues quick enough and well enough, right? If they do come to you with that, you respect that, yes, I understand you'd want to make things right, and so do I. Let's handle the issue first, and then we can discuss other options, right? Don't apologize for expecting profit in a job, right? Some people act like they don't deserve it, and then the homeowner picks up on that. So what if you were the one that you made the mistake? I had to own this recently myself. I ripped out carpet in a job that we were supposed to be keeping it. I totally misread my own scope. I own it. I walk right up and say, please forgive me. This is what happened today. In the midst of doing this and that, I made a mistake. And when you own it and you show them that this is what I can do to address it and fix it, it builds more trust. People recognize that everyone makes mistakes. All right, so that's it. The best remodelers they're not the ones that never have problems, but they're the ones that will address it head on and not pretend it didn't make. So mistakes are your moments to prove that you're a professional, and they can help bring homeowners to become your fan, not hate you. So just don't try to hide it, and hopefully you catch it before it becomes a really big problem. All right, so if you're new, welcome. Let me know where you're from. If you have any questions, anything you want to talk about when it comes to remodeling in general. Welcome. Yeah, if you're new, let us know what what part of the country you're from and what type of remodeling you do. So it's open forum. If you have any questions about remodeling, anything you want to talk about. This tonight's session was a little shorter. It was only about 10 minutes, if that. You can catch it on the YouTube recordings under workshops. The AI prompt. So this will help some guys if you've never done it before. You can type into your AI prompt, like let's say you use ChatGPT. Let's say you want it to act as an emotional intelligence trainer, operations lead for a remodeling company, and just create a simple system that helps me and my team handle project problems in a way that turns the mistake into what we call the loyalty moment. We want to avoid losing trust with the homeowner. We want to keep the project moving and even increase the likelihood of referrals after resolving a tough situation. And some of the things you can ask it for are like an ownership call script. So it's a short, confident script to use when you tell the client about the problem in the first place. It'll help you with tone and pacing recommendations. So you might want to practice saying this once or twice out loud. You can do the client repair response. It's a little phrase book. You make it come up with like maybe 6 different phrases. So you can already predict what the client's probably going to be saying to you when they're having their emotional moment. And you can ask the AI agent to include calm, validating, non-defensive responses that reframe and redirect. You can also do what's called repair for a follow-up message, right? So this is a text or email message that you'll send after you've fixed one of those issues. This builds that emotional closure, reassurance, and it helps finally build the trust. You can also add in what's called like a repair or recovery log template. And this is just a little table. You put the date, you put the problem, what the thing is, what the action is, how you notified, the follow-up. Every company is going to want to handle this differently. There's a thing called problem to praise. That's where you can explain how you're going to turn this problem around, and helps it get you hopefully a testimonial. And so you can ask for a sample script to create that. And there's also like a recovery checklist. SOP, right? Standard operating procedure. And this will be like, what do you do at each step? So, hey, we have a problem on the job site. We have to identify it. People have to be notified. We have to now come up with our solution, and then we solve it. We have confirmation, and then we do a follow-up to make sure everyone's good with what's taken place. And you can have it written so that it includes language that keeps the tone professional, not apologetic. At the end of the day, the tone for all of these is something that's calm, confident, right? It's like a contractor to contractor, and try to avoid a lot of corporate talk or customer service junk. People pick up on that and they don't want it. Anyway, that's all. You can put that in and make separate AI prompts for that. So it'll give you scripts and templates. And basically what you'll do is you'll practice reading those out a couple times. That way, when you're in the moment, you are talking to the homeowner, it feels natural. And, for many of you, it'll change the way you communicate. It did for me. Using these types of things really shifted the way I was thinking and the way I would communicate. So I'm more of a direct approach person. I just go, and not everybody in the world likes that. Some people are much more indirect. So I had to learn how to really navigate that a lot differently. Hello, let me know where you're from. If you're new, if you have any remodeling questions. So I'll give you an example of how this script can look in real life. So here's how you own it. You give the homeowner a call, you meet them one-to-one, you say, hey, Mr. and Miss Smith, I wanted you to hear it from me, right? And then you do what they call acknowledge, align, and act. You're right. Let me walk you through how we're fixing it, right? Like, here's the problem, okay? Then make sure you're writing it down so you have some notes somewhere, like in your daily logs. You make sure you follow up afterwards. And believe it or not, this is a great time to ask for reviews. No, please comment how we had an issue and how we had to work around it and get delivered. But people like hearing that because people are used to experiencing that on their jobs. So, yeah, anyhow, if you're new, welcome. If you have any questions, not seeing any comments, which is fine. If you do have any questions, you want to let me know where you're from, what part of the country you're in. Anything coming up for you on any of your job sites? You running into any difficulties with any homeowners? How about estimates? Let's say you guys want to figure out how to estimate. What should you charge? How should you charge? If you're having trouble coming up with your 3 different good, better, bests, you can ask about that. So it's just, this is a resource here. It's a good chance for me to, look, over the years, I was very fortunate. I had a lot of good people help me with my business. And so it's something I feel is lacking for most people. They don't have, if you get into this business, you're usually kind of by yourself. You don't have many people to go to talk to get good advice, right? Because most remodelers are not doing well. Most of them are struggling. So, where do you go when you want to get around good people? And something like this is what something we can offer. I do monthly calls. We have a Remodel Rebels group. You can become part of that, and you can meet other good guys from across the country that are really implementing new things and growing their business. And really, it's about taking your business to a place that it's never been before, right? There's a lot of fear that comes up, and there's a lot of unknowns, and in your mind, you're like, I don't know if I can ever do that. Can I charge that where I'm from? How do I go about hiring this person? Or how do we start, selling that? How do I get paid for my estimates? All these things come up. And if you're still running around giving free estimates all the time and you're not weeding out the clients, like I'm telling you, there's a much better way to run a remodeling business. So that's what, yeah. So if you're new and you have any questions, you want to let me know where you're from, go ahead and put something in the comments. Yep, welcome. If there's any, if you have any content that you want to see me address in a future video, feel free to put that in the chat. Can you address that for you? But yeah, it's kind of an open forum. And when you get here in the beginning, I usually run through some lesson that I've learned through the years of being in the business. And hopefully it would keep you from having to struggle with yours. And then this is an open forum. Has the homeowner ever come to you and said, man, you guys really messed this up? You know, sometimes you have to just call it like it is, and you say, you know, you're right to call it out. Let me show you how exactly we're handling it and how we're making sure, you know, it doesn't happen again. Or the homeowner says, this isn't what we agreed to. Yeah, I can absolutely understand that frustration. Let's walk through what is different and how we're going to fix it. How about if the homeowner calls you up and says, hey, why wasn't I told? Fair question. Maybe that's on you, right? Maybe you say, that's on me. I should have flagged it sooner. Here's what I'm doing now so that, you know, we rectify that situation and we don't want to catch you off guard in the future. All right. Well, I appreciate those of you that popped in, popped out. And I don't see anyone hanging in, asking any questions at the moment. So you guys good. If you have any remodeling questions, let me know. Otherwise, we'll get back on here a little bit later. Yep. If you're new popping in, just let me know what part of the country you're in, what type of remodeling you do. Welcome. Welcome. Many of you, this day. So today was day 76 of a series I'll be doing for 100 days. So there's 24 more left of these. And we just address one little bit of the remodeling business each night. Welcome. Yep, welcome. Hello. If you have a, yeah, let me know what part of the country you're from. If you have a little, anything about your remodeling business, you want to let me know what your niche is, any issues that are coming up. Anything we can share, address. What else is happening in the remodeling? Let's look at what we're doing tomorrow. Asking for referrals. Some people get nervous, and I get it. Like, you know, it takes time to just be forward and direct. A lot of people don't like to be that way. And you'd be shocked when you start. So the reality is not every single homeowner is always going to have a referral, but more of them do than you would imagine. There's certain personality types that really will refer you to a lot of people. And those are the ones that you want to do good by. You know, treat them right, do good work for them, and you'll be shocked. So, yep. Oh, and And hey, look, if you have any questions, love to talk to you about how you're estimating jobs. We're working on some estimating solutions, and I'm very curious how you guys do your estimating when it comes up. Justin, is that you down there? It is. Welcome. Congrats on getting those jobs. It looks like you've been busy. Good for you, brother. So it looks like you've been getting at it, working hard. Tomorrow will be a good one for you, Justin. We'll be talking about referrals. Welcome. Yep, just let me know what part of the country you're in. Yeah, if you're new, welcome. Feel free to put in the chat where you're from if you have any questions about remodeling. Just to open live forum where you can put in any questions, anything that might be challenging you in your remodeling business. Like I said, tomorrow we're going to be getting into referrals, and referrals are kind of like change orders. It's best to bring all that stuff up early, so that way at the last minute, as they say, it doesn't seem as annoying, right? Because when you've already prepped the homeowner for these things, that's a lot of what remodeling is, right? You're pre-framing. You're just getting the client ready for the things. Hey there, Nick. Nick, thank you. I've seen you like a few videos recently and been following the account, so thanks for that. Welcome. You have any questions, let me know. Love to know, Nick, where you're from, what part of the country you're in, and maybe what specialty you do. So, but yeah, so tomorrow we'll be doing a lot about referrals, and I've found over the years that, like I said, some clients are really good at giving you lots of referrals, some clients not so much. But the thing is, you always got to ask, and it shouldn't feel awkward. And I also found that you ask for them indirectly by sharing with the homeowner during your initial phases. You talk about, hey, what's really cool is, when the job's done, we can have a party here. We can have your neighbors over. It's a good way to get some referrals, to show off the work. Like, you can let all the, your community see how nice this kitchen is. Some homeowners are really into that. Some aren't. Okay, that's right. Electrical. All right. Welcome. Yes, sir. Hopefully you're having a good season. Yes. Very good. You guys, so funny. You guys are completely on the other side of the country. Always amazing. You do so help me out. Residential and commercial, Nick. Or do you focus on one over the other? I have a nephew. He just graduated from high school, and his high school they had a work trades program where for 2 years he's been working with electrical contractor in the area, working towards getting his license. So yeah, he's loving it. He would work a couple hours a day all through high school. Now he's graduated. Now he's working full time. These guys start early. They start like 6 in the morning on a lot of these commercial jobs. So. Mhm. Well, yeah. What's like the biggest challenge you're facing right now? Or what's the all right? You got 50-50. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. So you're getting you got your feet under you. Very good. You've run enough jobs now. You're starting to see what's profitable, what you like doing, what problems you want to be solving. Okay, nice. Mhm. Do you have some good contacts that are GCs so that you're getting like kitchen remodels or rehab work? What's like what's your what's the your primary thing? Hey there, Justin. Welcome aboard. Yeah, tonight's a late one, huh? So, Nick, Nick here. He's got 1.5 years in his electrical business, and Jay Allen rather, is coming up on 1 year in plumbing. So that's awesome for both of you guys. Congrats. Yeah. Mm, yeah. Mostly directly with the customer. Some small contractors for vast interest. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I think Nick, you and Jay Allen are tackling the industry similar ways. You're doing a little more commercial than Jay Allen, but you're both seem to be primarily dealing with the homeowners. So very cool. Um, I appreciate you commenting, Nick. If there's yeah, I'd be curious. What are you finding? Uh, is there anything that's frustrating you about now that you're a year and a half in? Um, so I'm thinking if you're, or what are do you have a good, what's your growth plan, or are you looking to hire a couple guys to run under you, like to do service calls? What are your thoughts? Uh, yes. Oh, yes. All right. Yeah, I hear you. So that's perfectly. It's exactly where you should be. Um, I can, from personal experience, the first couple guys that I hired, they were good kids, young guys, but it's not what was going to make my business successful. I just hired bodies. You know what I mean? I hired people that were available and easy, kids that like one guy lived in the neighborhood where I was at, and I noticed he was home a lot. I was like, hey, you need a job? Like, you want to learn? He's like, I've done some construction. You know what I mean? Like, it was ridiculous. Yeah, he's a good kid, but like, he was a grown man. I mean, he was in his 20s, but like, he wasn't going anywhere. And he didn't have like high desire, high drive. He was just biding time, I guess. I need A top journeyman since most work is efficient. Yeah, understood. So Nick, I can share this, and please hear me. Like, I by no means am I trying to make it sound like I know. My first several guys that I hired, I I found a kid who had worked for a guy for a long time, and the guy was like 20, 30 years older than me at the time, and he was retiring. And this young kid, he was in his 20s, and he had worked for the other guy since he was like 12 or something. They were like neighbors, right? And the kid was talented. He could do everything for the most part, but he was just irresponsible, right? And so that's what, so when you bring on younger people, that can happen, not all the time. That was some of my experiences with younger guys, is that just, you know, uh, late going out still on the during like Thursday nights partying, having a trouble showing up Fridays, so whatever. But if you're looking to hire like a high end guy, my first like couple lead carpenters, that really made a big difference for my business. These were guys that were at the time older than me and actually had more experience in the industry, and they didn't want to run their own companies. So they were looking to be aligned with someone who wanted to run their own business. Okay. So believe it or not, like there's a lot of good guys out there that are tired and they don't want to run their own business. Let's see what else is happening. Yeah. It's what I find in this industry, and you guys probably can see it too, is there's a lot of people that really like doing the work. They don't like dealing with the homeowner. Um, it's when you're, for whatever reason, a lot of guys don't learn good communication skills when growing up, right? And so dealing with people and homeowners and having to talk to them, it's very challenging. And the average guy, like there's guys that are way more talented as carpenters than I am, but they cannot emotionally, mentally deal with having tough conversations with homeowners and other subs. So they limit themselves. They just can't run an efficient business or a profitable one, let's say. And so what they default to is they end up being technicians, right? Guys out, they're true tradesmen. They're out in the field all day long working with they're most comfortable working with their hands and their tools, and their mind is only solving those types of problems. So anyway, if you have that discipline and that skill set where you're good with talking with the homeowner, you'll be able to bring on a bunch of guys and probably some older guys, um, that can be good in the moment. They understand how to address a homeowner. They just don't want the headache. They just want to clock in, clock out. Especially if they have families, if they have kids. Most people can't handle working in the field all day and then having to come home and do the estimates, the billing, figure out the payroll. That's why guys. So anyway, I say all that to tell you that be you know you may find that you can grow good people quickly just by hiring some older people, that just want to work for somebody who treats them fair. Yeah, that's been my experience anyway. Yep, I hear you, Jalen. Yeah, they're out there. I mean, they really are. It's I was shocked. I didn't know how to find these guys until I just asked. What was the craziest thing? The guy that did all my sheetrock, his neighbor was a carpenter looking to get with another company. Like, him and his neighbor are out talking, and the guy's like, yeah, this company I'm working with, we've got some issues here, issues there. The boss was a little bit, like a lot of bosses, just didn't treat his people right, in a, I don't know, or fair. Let's just say a lot of people are pretty demanding, and you just never know where you'll find good people out there. I'm thinking one more year. Yeah, Jan, you'll know, like your growth is yours, your journey. So yeah, most of the time, I think too, you'll have been ready for a little while before you make the move. So, and you never know, you might bump into the guy one day out of the blue, and you'd be like, "Damn, I should hire that guy." You know, it's but yeah, finding your first couple hires, it's definitely it's a mental game. It's scary, especially when you look at the compensation that you're going to be paying out, and if you feel like you're taking on a burden. Nick, I recommend you look at doing a probationary period with anyone that you hire. Obviously, you have to look at what your state laws are, but like in my state, I can do um, like a 90-day to maybe a 6-month temporary position where you're hired, you're going to work for us full time, but um, I'm not obligated to keep you on for an entire year until you get through that probationary period. And it works for both ways. They get to try you out, you get to try them out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, you know what's funny? Everybody's making it up as they go. You know, you can only, I can only speak to what I've learned over the years and watched others do. You know, um, we're all making it up as we go along. That's the beauty of it. I always challenge myself and others to say, you know, take the risks. You know, go for it. What's the worst thing? The worst thing that happens is you back up to where you are. I don't know, in my opinion. Yeah. Yeah. So, mm. You know, sometimes you have to remind yourself too that this is how I started thinking about it. A lot of us want to have all of our ducks in a row. We want to have everything perfect before we bring someone on. And the reality is that's never going to be the case. It's just like, think about this, the companies that probably hired you when you had jobs, they didn't have it all figured out, right? They just knew that they needed some help, and some of them were further along than others. But I've never worked for a company that had it all figured out. You know, I mean, I've worked for some companies that had better processes than others, but what I'm saying is everybody's trying to figure it out at the same time. Nobody knows what the economy is going to do 6 weeks from now, 6 months from now. You know, you just make decisions and take it one day at a time. So Nick, I'd be curious. Tell us how you. So I'm working on coming up with a more advanced estimating process, right, for remodelers in general, right? Nick, do you use a spreadsheet when you estimate? Are you trying out any of the new AI apps where you can just talk to it, tell it what you're looking for? Do you just do you still do pen and paper just because you know the numbers in your head? You do like you just estimate by the number of hours? How do you estimate? Mm. For me, I prefer and I've shared this with you, Jan. Like I use like a Google sheet, right? I look at the job in the order that it goes. I look at getting permits, getting plans, design work, setup, right? Ordering the materials, all the planning phase, then the demolition, right? Then the framing, all the rough-ins, electrical, mechanical, plumbing, insulation, sheetrock, cabinetry, trim, painting, all your trim work, trim out, flooring. That's how I like to estimate jobs. All right. Well, yeah, I agree, Jan. That's what's worked best for me. I had showed you that Home Tech, that software I used for a while. I went, even after getting that, what I used that for a long time was I would get my scope of works off of there, just because the way it was written, I didn't know how to write like that. So, but yeah, I find the line items best. And then now for me, I don't know how about you do it in the field. I don't. I show the homeowner a detailed scope, but I don't do a detailed price, meaning it's one price at the end for everything included. Every now and then, sure, I have to do a line item for some kind of a material thing or possibly an option that the homeowner might be thinking about, you know. But by and large, I don't break out labors and materials separately, and I try to stay away from individual line items. Your first line item is a scope. Okay, so you'll show the homeowner, they get the itemized out. Okay, yeah. Yep. Very yep. And Jayon, are you okay? Interesting. If you charge sales tax. Okay, gotcha. So is it simpler for you to not get involved with them? Is that why? Would you just prefer that the homeowner? Well, I guess you're going to have to supply things like they're not supplying shut-off valves. I guess you're referring to like toilets and vanities and faucets. And Jan, what do you use? Do you use just like a Google Doc, a Google Sheet, or I think you might have? Do you use House Call Pro? Maybe that's what you or Jobber. I think you were using. Okay, so you don't itemize the materials. Okay, House Call Pro. Okay, yeah, very good. Good. All right. Well, all right. So for tomorrow, we're going to talk about some referrals. I got some. I've tried some different things over the years that are a little outside the box when it comes to referrals. So if that's, I'd encourage, Jan, you'll come up with a process for you. But I've been selling things for so long that, and what I realized was it's very difficult to get new customers, right? Like every time you get a client, you've had to work pretty hard to get that client. The best thing, if you can, is to leverage that client to help you find other clients so that those extra clients aren't as hard to find as the initial client. And if every client could somehow become somewhat of a little bit of a resource for you in helping you find those next clients, it really makes this business a lot easier, right? Um, And one thing I found over the years is homeowners don't really care about the money, because if they cared about the money side of it, they would get into selling for you. That they would just be your home improvement salesperson, right? So like, it's funny. Most companies. Let's see. I'm trying not to do commercials. Okay, just too much of a pain in the rear. I can appreciate that. Yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, so tomorrow we'll talk about referrals. Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, I would think like for you down the road, you would have to almost have someone in like your spouse, or you would need an assistant, somebody in the company to do all that for you. You can't, there's no way you should be burdened with all that. Like you should be out there doing the plumbing work. But I guess at the end of the day, you'd have to be tracking that and say, hey, on this job we did this. This is how much we charge. I had to collect sales tax. Now you're having to turn it in to the state. So yeah, that would be somebody's job within the company, helping you with all that for sure. And I guess too, it comes down to what's easiest for the client. I don't know. Everybody has their own approach. I'd have to. Yeah, I absolutely. So like, I don't have to. It's a little different here. I wouldn't have that, but I could see how that could get crazy. And just yes, it. I'd be hiring someone to do that for me. There's no way I'd be figuring all that out all the time. That would be a nightmare, I think. So I can hear what you're saying. So, all right. But yeah, so tomorrow we'll talk about like a referral setup where you can not incentivize the homeowner with like money per se, but with like rewards, things that they could that might interest them. Um, Experiences. I've talked about this. I think you've been on that call before. We've talked about like a gift, make friends with a local restaurant, day spa place, golf club, fishing place, whatever, gun club, whatever. I don't know, whatever's out your way that people like to do, and offer people like sometimes gift cards. Yeah, you'd be shocked. And you don't even have to sell it so much. It's nice to have like a brochure that you just hand to the clients. Like, think about it this way, John. You come in, you start doing all the plumbing work, and the homeowner's like, when are you gonna be done? You're like, I'll probably be done like 3 or 4 hours. And like, imagine you just give them like a little packet, maybe a little brochure. And then part of what's in there, it introduces them to your referral rewards program. It says, hey, if you happen to know like 3 other people that you think could use a great plumber, if you can refer us to 3 good jobs, you'll get a gift card at the local restaurant. You'll get a private dining experience or whatever. I don't know. But I found that people start sitting there and while you're doing the work, they might be text messaging, Facebooking, Messenger, calling, talking to neighbors. Some people are like that, just because they want to get that gift, that reward that you're offering, whatever it is. So it's interesting. That's all I can say. I have some people that have sent me many a referral over the years. It's crazy. So there's some people that are just good connectors like that. And if you can find 10 people like that, and they're each referring you to 2 or 3 customers a year. Yeah, you really do. And here's it gets even crazier when usually somebody who if you get referred, right, and that person is like, man, I've been hearing all these great things about you, and then you do well for them, they tend to then refer. It's like, it's just a cycle. And the business just, I think you're gonna be experiencing a lot of that this year. You may already be having it now. And then if you help just in a non-direct way talk about it with clients a little bit, not to where you're in their face saying, give me 3 referrals. You just share with them like, hey, some of my best customers, this is what they're doing. They're referring me to people all the time. And then we're sending them here, we're giving them that, we're giving them this. And it gets the person thinking like, I want that. Anyway, so you can imagine if you deal with, I don't know, let's say you have two new clients per week out of 48 weeks, that's almost 100 people. And if half of them can refer you to 3 people, even 2 people, right? That's another 50 clients. And then next year, that number, you see how it starts going. Yeah, they're awesome. And when you do that in combination with your advertising, the lettering on your vehicle, right? Job signs, all the other things. Now you start getting inundated. That's when you need someone answering your phone for you. You're getting a bunch of calls. You can start filtering those phone calls. Now you're only taking on the better jobs, right? Like all of a sudden the business just, it hits its point where you're like, all right, now we're a real business. The phone rings. I get, people are calling in, they want work. So. Jan, help me understand when you say you don't believe you can, we can do both. Give me, I don't know if there's, help me understand what you're saying there. Yeah, it gets very difficult to try to do it all, and you only can do one thing at it. Yes. So, but you can you get some of it going. Get a foundation under your feet. So it gets challenging for sure. You'll need, yeah. You'll learn, everybody has their little things that work. I really like the Val packs. They worked well for us. The website works really well. Networking works really well. If you're into that, for you would kill it if for sure in any networking group. Get in touch with all you need are like 10 good realtors. Yeah, just when you're ready to start, there's a couple ways to look at it. If you want to start charging a little bit more or getting into different, if you want a different niche or if you want different types of clients, that's where I would say the marketing, like I don't know, whatever type of job that you really want to, the ideal, they talk about, it's called the client avatar, your ideal customer. When you write that person down on a board and describe them, it's like, where do they live? What's their main problem? What's the problem that I want to solve for them? Then you have an ad that addresses that specifically, because those are the type, you want good clients. You just won't want any client, right? You want like, how do I get more of these clients? So, yep. All good things, one step at a time. That'll be this year. You'll do a little more marketing, if not already. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You get the right niche. Mm-hmm. So, like for us, we target. There's certain when I want to work in a certain neighborhood, I'll look and say we really want to do decks in this neighborhood, or we want to redo their basements or their kitchens, whatever. We'll make a specific ad and mail it to those houses, and then we'll go and put the little door hangers for those houses or that neighborhood, let's say. Yeah, if you want to convert people over to tankless, you do a whole campaign. And I don't know if I was talking with you about this, or you might be able to get co-opt for that. So if you want to put in a Valpak ad or a big mailer, A.O. Smith, Ream, I don't know, whoever you're getting, whatever brand tankless water heater you want to be installing, you can talk with one of their reps about getting in touch with their advertising and their marketing department. And believe it or not, they might have money. They'll give you money to market. The ad will have to have their company's product in it, but you're like, hey, we're an authorized installer distributor for Ream, and we want to, you put that in your ad, they will pay for the ad. Maybe, okay, yes, that brand as well. Yep. So a lot of these companies do co-oping, and they'll give you money. So it's crazy. Next thing you know, they'll be paying for your advertising, or at least part of it. All right. Well, I appreciate you hopping on. I know tonight was a little bit later. Enjoy your Saturday night here. What are we into? Coming up on Sunday already. So, anybody's new? Anybody has any questions? Otherwise, I think we'll wrap up tonight. Jayon, again, appreciate you. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you being here. Yep. Yeah, tonight was a little late for sure. So, but thank you. Appreciate it as always, Jayon. Definitely. All right. All right. Again, thanks. Have a good evening, and we'll see you on the next one. All right.